First contact, the arrival of the Zarkon, the vast expanse of space, had always held mysteries beyond human comprehension. For centuries, humanity had gazed at the stars, wondering if they were alone in the universe. On July 17, 2047, they got their answer. Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat hunched over her computer terminal at the SETI Institute, her eyes bleary from hours of staring at scrolling data. The coffee beside her had long since gone cold, forgotten in the midst of her work. As she reached for the mug, a shrill alarm cut through the quiet hum of equipment. "What the hell?" Elena muttered, her fatigue evaporating instantly. She furiously typed commands into her terminal, cross-referencing the incoming signal with known celestial phenomena. Nothing matched. Dr. Rodriguez. A young intern poked his head into her office, eyes wide with excitement. "Are you seeing this?" Elena nodded, her heart racing. "Call everyone in, now." Within hours, observatories around the world confirmed what Elena and her team had discovered. An alien fleet was approaching Earth, and it was massive. As news of the impending arrival spread, humanity reacted with a mixture of fear, excitement, and confusion. World leaders convened emergency meetings, religious groups proclaimed the end times, and social media exploded with theories and speculation. In Washington, D.C., President Amelia Chen stood before a sea of reporters, her face a mask of calm determination. "My fellow Americans and citizens of the world," she began, her voice steady. "Today, we stand on the precipice of a new era in human history. We are not alone in the universe, and our cosmic neighbors are on their way to Earth." As Chen spoke, military forces around the globe mobilized. Despite the president's reassuring words, no one knew if the aliens came in peace or with more sinister intentions. 3 days after the initial detection, the alien fleet entered Earth's orbit. Massive ships, easily dwarfing the largest human vessels, took up positions around the planet. Their sleek obsidian hulls seemed to absorb light, making them look like voids against the star-studded backdrop of space. In New York City, United Nations Secretary-General Kwame Osei addressed the General Assembly. "We must approach this situation with caution, but also with an open mind," he urged. "This could be the greatest opportunity for advancement in human history or our greatest challenge. We must be prepared for either outcome." As the world held its breath, a single alien ship descended towards Earth. It landed in a remote area of the Sahara Desert, chosen as a neutral meeting ground. A delegation of world leaders, scientists, and military personnel gathered to make first contact. Dr. Elena Rodriguez found herself among this group, her expertise in xenobiology and astrolinguistics making her an invaluable asset. As she stood on the scorching desert sand, watching the alien ship's landing ramp extend, she couldn't help but feel a mix of terror and exhilaration. The first alien to emerge was tall, easily 8 feet in height. Its body was covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors in the sunlight. 4 arms extended from its torso, each ending in 3-fingered hands. But it was the alien's eyes that captured Elena's attention, large, multifaceted orbs that seemed to take in everything at once. President Chen stepped forward, flanked by her security detail. "On behalf of the people of Earth," she said, her voice amplified by speakers, "I welcome you to our world." The alien tilted its head, studying Chen intently. Then, to everyone's surprise, it spoke in perfect English. "I am Supreme Commander Vexthor of the Zarkon Empire," it said, its voice a strange mix of hisses and clicks. "We have come to claim this world as our own." A collective gasp went up from the assembled humans. Chen's composure faltered for a moment before she regained her diplomatic stance. "Supreme Commander," she said, "surely we can discuss this. Earth is our home, and we have no intention of giving it up." Vexthor's multifaceted eyes seemed to glitter with amusement. "Discuss? There is nothing to discuss, little one. Your species is primitive, barely able to leave your own planet. The strong survive and the weak perish. This is the way of the universe." As Vexor spoke, more Zarkan emerged from the ship, each carrying what were unmistakably weapons. The human security forces tensed, hands moving to their own firearms. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. This was humanity's worst fear realized. Not only were they not alone in the universe, but their first contact was with a species bent on conquest. President Chen stood her ground, her voice firm despite the threat. We may be less technologically advanced, but humanity is far from weak. We have survived and thrived in the face of countless challenges. If you seek to take our world by force, you will find that we are not easy prey. Vexor's mouth split into what might have been a smile, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Brave words, human, but words will not save you. We have conquered 1,000 worlds, and yours will be no different. Prepare your people, for the culling begins now. With that, Vexor raised one of its 4 arms. The Zarkan behind him raised their weapons, energy building at the barrels. In that moment, as the world teetered on the brink of war, Elena Rodriguez realized that everything humanity had accomplished, everything they had built, was about to be tested. The Zarkan might have superior technology and numbers, but humans had something they didn't, an indomitable spirit and a fierce love for their home. As the first shots were fired, chaos erupted. The human security forces returned fire, their bullets seeming pitifully inadequate against the Zarkan's energy weapons. President Chen was whisked away to safety, shouting orders into a comm unit. Elena found herself pulled along by a young soldier, running towards a waiting transport. As she looked back, she saw the Zarkan ship rising into the air, its weapons systems powering up. The battle for Earth had begun, and humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. But as fear gripped her heart, Elena also felt a spark of determination. Humans had faced extinction-level threats before and survived. They would find a way to overcome this too. As the transport lifted off, carrying the remains of the Earth delegation to safety, Elena's mind was already racing, thinking of ways to analyze and counter the Zarkan technology. The aliens might have started this war, but humanity would finish it. The Zarkan had no idea what they had just unleashed. They thought they were the apex predators of the galaxy, but they were about to learn a harsh lesson. When pushed to the brink, humans didn't just fight back, they evolved, adapted, and overcame. The day the Zarkan arrived was the day humanity's true potential would be realized. The stars had once been a source of wonder and mystery. Now they were the battlefield upon which the fate of Earth would be decided. As the transport disappeared over the horizon, the Sahara lit up with weapon fire. The war for Earth had begun, and the outcome would determine the future of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. Humanity's stand, the battle for Earth. The weeks following the Zarkan's arrival were a blur of chaos and desperation. Cities around the world fell under alien bombardment, their defenses crumbling against the advanced weaponry. But humanity, true to form, refused to go down without a fight. In the underground war room beneath the Pentagon, President Amelia Chen surveyed the holographic display of Earth, red dots indicating Zarkan-controlled areas spreading like a virus across the continents. Her advisors stood in tense silence, awaiting her decision. "We can't match them in open combat," General Maria Hernandez stated, her voice grim. "Their energy shields render most of our conventional weapons useless." Chen nodded, her eyes never leaving the display. "Then we don't fight conventionally. We've always excelled at asymmetrical warfare. It's time we show these aliens what humans are truly capable of." Across the globe, resistance cells formed, combining military precision with civilian ingenuity. In the ruins of London, Royal Marine Commando Jack O'Neill led a group of survivors in guerrilla attacks against Zarkan patrols. Their weapons were a hodgepodge of military-grade firearms and improvised explosives, but their greatest asset was their knowledge of the urban terrain. O'Neill crouched behind a crumbling wall, watching a Zarkan transport hover down the debris-strewn street. He gave a silent hand signal, and his team readied their weapons. As the alien vehicle passed their position, they unleashed a barrage of gunfire and homemade EMP grenades. The transport's energy shields flickered and died under the electromagnetic pulse, leaving it vulnerable to the hail of bullets. O'Neill allowed himself a grim smile as the vehicle crashed to the ground, its Zarkan occupants scrambling out only to be cut down by precise rifle fire. "Bag and tag any tech you can salvage," O'Neill ordered his team. Dr. Rodriguez and her team need all the alien gear we can get our hands on. In her makeshift lab in the Swiss Alps, Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets of Zarkan technology. Every piece of alien equipment, every scrap of data, brought humanity one step closer to leveling the playing field. "I think I've cracked their shield frequency," Elena announced to her team of international scientists. "If we can modulate our weapons to match it, we might be able to penetrate their defenses." As Elena and her team worked on technological solutions, others found different ways to resist. In the vast steppes of Mongolia, nomadic herders used their intimate knowledge of the land to misdirect and ambush Zarkan scouting parties. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes employed ancient hunting techniques to deadly effect against the alien invaders, proving that sometimes the old ways were the best. The Zarkan, accustomed to swift conquests of less advanced species, found themselves bogged down in a war of attrition. Supreme Commander Vexthor, watching the holographic battle maps from his flagship in orbit, felt a growing sense of frustration. "How are these primitives resisting us so effectively?" he snarled at his subordinates. "They should have been crushed by now." His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Zarlek, stepped forward cautiously. "Supreme Commander, we may have underestimated the humans' adaptability. They're learning from each encounter, evolving their tactics faster than we can counter them." Vexthor's multifaceted eyes narrowed. "Then we'll have to stop holding back. Prepare the plasma bombardment cannons. We'll scorch their cities from orbit if we have to." As the Zarkan escalated their attacks, humanity's desperation fueled innovation. In Silicon Valley, a team of programmers led by Usha Patel worked around the clock to develop an AI system capable of predicting Zarkan attack patterns. "If we can anticipate their moves," Aisha explained to military observers, "we can be one step ahead. It's like a cosmic game of chess, and we're learning to think several moves in advance." The AI, dubbed Prometheus, proved to be a game-changer. With its ability to process vast amounts of data and identify subtle patterns in Zarkan behavior, Earth's defenders began to turn the tide in small but significant ways. In orbit, the International Space Station, once a symbol of human scientific achievement, was transformed into a makeshift command center and early warning system. Astronauts worked alongside hastily trained military personnel, using the station's unique vantage point to coordinate global defense efforts. Commander Yuki Tanaka peered through a powerful telescope, tracking Zarkan fleet movements. "They're repositioning for another attack," she radioed to ground control. "Looks like they're targeting the eastern seaboard of the United States." Thanks to this early warning, when the Zarkan ships descended on New York City, they found more than just helpless prey. A network of hidden energy emitters, reverse-engineered from captured alien tech, sprang to life. The Zarkan energy shields flickered and failed, leaving them vulnerable to a barrage of hastily upgraded human weapons. For the first time since the invasion began, a major Zarkan assault was repelled. As news of the victory spread, a wave of hope surged through the beleaguered human population. They had bloodied the nose of the invaders, proving that the aliens were not invincible. But the victory came at a cost. Much of New York lay in ruins, and casualties were high. In the smoldering remains of Times Square, a young soldier named Miguel Cortez helped pull survivors from the rubble. As he worked, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a long and brutal war. In Washington, D.C., President Chen addressed what remained of Congress, her voice broadcast to every corner of the globe where humans still held out. "Today, we have shown the Zarkan and ourselves what humanity is capable of," she declared, her words stirring hearts worldwide. "We have looked into the face of annihilation and did not blink. We have taken their best punch and remained standing. But this is only the beginning." Chen's eyes blazed with determination as she continued, "We will not merely survive this invasion, we will overcome it. And when we do, we will take our place among the stars not as conquerors, but as a force for justice and peace in the galaxy." As Chen spoke, Dr. Rodriguez and her team made another breakthrough. Analyzing the debris from the Battle of New York, they discovered a vulnerability in the Zarkan ship design, a flaw that could potentially be exploited. "It's not much," Elena admitted to her colleagues, "but it's a start. If we can take down even one of their capital ships, it could change the course of the war." The discovery sparked a daring plan. Instead of merely defending, humanity would take the fight to the Zarkan. A joint task force of scientists, soldiers, and civilian volunteers began work on Operation Starfall, a mission to infiltrate and destroy a Zarkan mothership. As preparations for the operation got underway, the mood on Earth shifted. Fear and desperation gave way to grim determination and even cautious optimism. Humans had spent their entire history overcoming challenges, adapting to new threats, and turning weaknesses into strengths. The Zarkan invasion was just the latest in a long line of existential threats, and like all the others, it would be overcome. In his orbiting flagship, Supreme Commander Vexthal sensed the change in the tide of battle. The easy victory he had anticipated was slipping away, replaced by a grinding conflict against an enemy that refused to accept defeat. "These humans," he mused to himself, gazing down at the blue-green planet below, "they are unlike any species we have encountered. Perhaps we have made a grave error in underestimating them." As Earth geared up for its boldest move yet, the stage was set for a conflict that would determine not just the fate of humanity, but the balance of power in the galaxy. The Zarkan had come expecting to find easy prey, but instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity was no longer fighting just to survive, they were fighting to prove their place among the stars. The battle for Earth had only just begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Zarkan homeworld, infiltration and discovery. The stars had once seemed so distant, unreachable points of light in humanity's night sky. Now they were waypoints on a journey of vengeance and survival. Operation Exodus, humanity's boldest gambit yet, was underway. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the ESS Prometheus, Earth's first true interstellar vessel. Built in secret using reverse-engineered Zarkan technology, it represented the pinnacle of human ingenuity and adaptability. "Final systems check complete," reported Chief Engineer Raj Patel, his voice tight, with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. "We're as ready as we'll ever be." Elena nodded, her eyes fixed on the main view screen where Earth slowly receded. "Then let's make history. Initiate jump drive." The ship hummed with power, and for a moment, it seemed as if reality itself bent around them. Then, with a flash of light that seemed to bypass their retinas and imprint directly on their brains, they were somewhere else. The familiar constellations of Earth's sky were replaced by an alien starscape. "Jump successful," Raj announced, unable to keep the awe from his voice. "We've arrived in the Zarkan home system." As the crew of the Prometheus oriented themselves, similar scenes played out aboard the other ships of the human fleet. What had once been weather satellites, orbital stations, and lunar mining equipment had been hastily converted into a rectangular armada. It wasn't pretty, but it was humanity's best hope. Admiral Yuki Tanaka, once the commander of the International Space Station and now the leader of Earth's space forces, addressed the fleet. "We've made it past the first hurdle," her steady voice came through on all channels. "Now comes the hard part. Initiate stealth protocols and begin approach to Zarkan Prime." As the fleet moved deeper into enemy territory, tension aboard the ships ratcheted up. Every moment could bring discovery and disaster. But the humans had one advantage the Zarkan couldn't anticipate: desperation-fueled innovation. Aboard the ESS Odyssey, Captain Akira Tanaka and his infiltration team made final preparations. Their mission was critical: land on Zarkan Prime, gather intelligence, and if possible, sabotage key military installations. Remember, Akira briefed his team, we'll be using prototype personal cloaking devices. They'll hide us from Zarkan sensors, but they're not perfect. Stay alert and trust your instincts. As the Odyssey entered the upper atmosphere of Zarkan Prime, the team got their first look at the alien world. Great crystalline spires rose from the surface, interconnected by networks of shimmering energy. The sky was a deep purple, lit by twin suns that bathed everything in an eerie, shifting light. "It's beautiful," whispered Zara Khan, the team's infiltration specialist, in a terrifying alien way. The Odyssey touched down in a secluded valley, its adaptive camouflage rendering it nearly invisible against the crystalline landscape. Akira's team disembarked, their cloaking devices humming softly as they activated. Moving through the alien city was a surreal experience. Zarkan of various castes went about their business, completely unaware of the human interlopers in their midst. The team collected data at a furious pace, their specialized equipment recording everything from atmospheric composition to energy readings from the strange technology that seemed to be integrated into every aspect of Zarkan life. As they approached what appeared to be a major military installation, Sergeant John Bull Taurus held up a hand, signaling the team to stop. "Movement ahead," he whispered. "Looks like some kind of patrol." The team pressed themselves against a crystalline wall, hardly daring to breathe as a group of heavily armed Zarkan soldiers marched past. For a heart-stopping moment, one of the aliens paused, its multifaceted eyes sweeping the area where the humans hid. Then, apparently satisfied, it moved on. "That was too close," Zara muttered. "We need to pick up the pace." Inside the military installation, the team hit the jackpot. Banks of alien computers hummed with activity, displaying information that could turn the tide of the war. Zara set to work, interfacing their human tech with the Zarkan systems. "You're not going to believe this," she said, her voice tight with excitement. "I'm accessing their strategic database. The Zarkan, they're not as united as we thought. There are factions, political divisions. Some of them don't agree with the war against Earth." This was a game changer. If humanity could exploit these divisions, they might be able to end the war without further bloodshed. But as Zara worked to download the crucial data, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. "We've been made," Taurus shouted, bringing his weapon to bear as the first Zarkan soldiers burst into the room. What followed was a desperate firefight through the twisting corridors of the alien structure. The team's weapons, modified with the lessons learned from Earth's resistance, proved effective against the Zarkan defenses, but they were vastly outnumbered, and their exit was rapidly being cut off. "We need an extraction now," Akira yelled into his comm as he ducked under a barrage of energy blasts. "Odyssey, do you copy?" For a moment, there was only static. Then, miraculously, a response. "We hear you, Captain. Hold on, we're coming in hot." The Odyssey burst through the crystalline canopy of the Zarkan city, its weapons blazing. The ship's adaptive camouflage flickered and died under the strain, but it had served its purpose. As Zarkan air defenses scrambled to respond, the Odyssey settled onto a nearby landing pad. "Go, go, go!" Akira urged his team as they sprinted for the ship, Zarkan soldiers in hot pursuit. They had barely made it aboard before the Odyssey was airborne again, weaving through a web of energy beams as it clawed for altitude. The ship shuddered under multiple impacts, but its reverse-engineered Zarkan shields held. As they broke atmosphere, the true scale of their situation became clear. The Zarkan home fleet was mobilizing, hundreds of ships moving to intercept the human vessels. Admiral Tanaka's voice crackled over the comm. "All ships, execute emergency jump protocols. We have what we came for." Across the Zarkan home system, the human fleet winked out of existence, leaving their bewildered enemies behind. They rematerialized at their predetermined rendezvous point, a remote star system far from both Earth and Zarkan Prime. Aboard the Prometheus, Elena and her team immediately set to work analyzing the wealth of data they had stolen. The more they uncovered, the more apparent it became that this mission had changed everything. We didn't just get military data, Elena reported to Admiral Tanaka and the other ship captains. We've uncovered the Zarkan's entire history, their biology, their cultural structure, and most importantly, we found their weakness. She brought up a holographic display of a Zarkan's neural structure. Their hive mind isn't just a communication network, it's the core of their society. If we can disrupt it, we can potentially end this war without further bloodshed. The implications were staggering. Humanity had gone from fighting for mere survival to being on the brink of victory, but the hardest part was yet to come. Admiral Tanaka's face was grim as she addressed the fleet. We've struck a blow against the Zarkan and gained invaluable intelligence, but now we face our greatest challenge yet. We must return to Earth, unite our people, and prepare for the final battle. The fate of not just our world, but the entire galaxy hangs in the balance. As the human fleet prepared for the journey home, the crew of the Prometheus took one last look at the alien stars around them. They had come farther than any humans in history, faced unimaginable dangers, and emerged victorious. But the war was far from over. The final confrontation, Admiral Chen versus Supreme Commander Vex Thor, the return to Earth was a homecoming like no other in human history. As the fleet of hybrid human Zarkan ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, the crew's elation at seeing their blue planet again was tempered by the signs of ongoing conflict. Flashes of weapons fire lit up the night side of the planet, a grim reminder that the war was far from over. Admiral Yuki Tanaka, her face etched with the wariness of command, addressed the United Earth Defense Forces from the bridge of the ESS Prometheus. "We've returned with hope," she said, her voice carrying to every resistance bunker and hidden base across the globe. "But the hardest fight is still ahead of us." On the surface, President Amelia Chen had rallied Earth's remaining military forces for one final push. The data brought back by the Prometheus expedition had provided the key to victory, but implementing it would require a daring plan and flawless execution. In a hardened bunker beneath the ruins of Geneva, the leaders of Earth's resistance gathered to plan humanity's last stand. Dr. Elena Rodriguez laid out the crux of their strategy. The Zarkan hive mind is their greatest strength, but also their greatest weakness, she explained, bringing up a holographic model of the alien neural network. If we can disrupt it at the source, we can potentially incapacitate their entire force at once. Captain Akira Tanaka, fresh from the mission to Zarkan Prime, pointed to a pulsing node in the hologram. "This is Supreme Commander Vex Thor. He's not just their military leader, he's the linchpin of their entire hive mind. Take him out and the whole system collapses." President Chen's eyes narrowed as she absorbed the information. "So we cut off the head of the snake," she mused. "But how do we get close enough? The Zarkan will be expecting an attack." A sleek smile crossed Elena's face. "That's where our newest invention comes in," she said, producing a small device. "We've managed to crack the Zarkan's quantum entanglement communication. With this, we can tap directly into their hive mind." The implications were staggering. Not only could they eavesdrop on the Zarkan's plans, but they could also potentially feed false information into the network. It was the ultimate Trojan horse. As the final preparations were made, a tense calm settled over the Earth's forces. Years of brutal conflict had honed humanity into a weapon as sharp as any in the galaxy. Now, it was time to strike. The plan was audacious in its simplicity. Using the quantum entanglement device, they would feed false information to the Zarkan, luring Supreme Commander Vex Thor into a trap. Meanwhile, a strike team led by Captain Tanaka would infiltrate the Zarkan command ship to plant a disruptor that would sever Vex Thor's connection to the hive mind. As the Zarkan fleet moved into position, falling for the false intelligence fed through the hijacked network, Admiral Tanaka gave the order that would change the course of history. All ships execute Operation Checkmate. The battle erupted across Earth's orbit, a dazzling display of advanced energy weapons and desperate human courage. But this was merely the backdrop for the real operation. Aboard a stealth shuttle, Captain Tanaka's team approached the massive Zarkan flagship. Thanks to the codes extracted from the stolen data, they slipped through the ship's defenses undetected. Remember, Tanaka briefed his team one last time. Our objective is to plant the disruptor and get out. We're not here to fight a war. We're here to end one. As they made their way through the labyrinthine corridors of the alien vessel, the sounds of battle echoed around them. The fate of two species hung in the balance, determined by the actions of a handful of brave individuals. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the ESS Prometheus, now serving as the flagship of Earth's fleet, Admiral Tanaka and President Chen watched the battle unfold. The quantum entanglement device hummed softly, feeding a steady stream of disinformation to the Zarkan commanders. Supreme Commander Vexthor is taking personal command of the fleet, reported a communications officer. He's falling for it. Chen's eyes hardened. Now we spring the trap. At her command, the Earth fleet executed a complex maneuver, one that would have been impossible without the intelligence gleaned from the Zarkan's own tactical databases. Ships seemed to appear out of nowhere, catching the alien forces in a deadly crossfire. Aboard the Zarkan flagship, Captain Tanaka's team finally reached their objective, the central node of the ship's hive-mind relay. As Sergeant Taurus stood guard, Zara Khan worked feverishly to integrate the disruptor into the alien systems. Hurry, Tanaka urged, keenly aware that their window of opportunity was rapidly closing. Just as Zara announced, it's done. Alarms blared throughout the ship. They had been discovered. Fall back to the extraction point, Tanaka ordered, laying down covering fire as Zarkan warriors poured into the chamber. The team fought their way back through the ship, their path illuminated by the flash of energy weapons and the sparks of ricocheting projectiles. They were nearly to their shuttle when a massive figure stepped into their path. Supreme Commander Vexthor, his multifaceted eyes blazing with fury, faced them directly. "You dare," he hissed, his voice resonating with the power of the entire Zarkan Hivmund. "You dare to challenge the dominion of the Zarkan." Tanaka raised his weapon, but Vexthor moved with impossible speed. With a gesture, he sent the humans flying backwards, their weapons torn from their grasp by an unseen force. "Your primitive minds cannot comprehend the power you face," Vexthor gloated, advancing on the fallen humans. "I am the Zarkan. I am Legion." But even as he spoke, something changed. The confidence in his voice wavered, replaced by confusion and then dawning horror. The disruptor was taking effect, severing his connection to the hivemind. Tanaka, seeing their opportunity, shouted into his comm, "Admiral, now." Aboard the Prometheus, Admiral Tanaka gave the order they had all been waiting for: activate the pulse. A wave of energy, the product of humanity's desperate innovation, washed out from the Earth ships. Where it touched Zarkan vessels, their systems went haywire. Cut off from the hive mind and their own ship's control networks, the alien warriors fell into disarray. On the flagship, Vexthor screamed in agony as his connection to his species was severed. He lashed out blindly, but without the power of the hive mind, he was just one alien facing a team of humanity's best. The battle was fierce but brief. In the end, Supreme Commander Vexthor, the being who had nearly brought about humanity's extinction, lay defeated at Captain Tanaka's feet. As the team secured their prisoner and made their way to the extraction point, reports flooded in from across the solar system. Everywhere, the Zarkan forces were in retreat, their once invincible armada now scattered and vulnerable. Aboard the Prometheus, President Chen turned to Admiral Tanaka, tears of joy and relief shining in her eyes. "We did it," she breathed. "We actually did it." Tanaka allowed herself a small smile. "We've won the battle, Madam President. But the real work is just beginning. As the remnants of the Zarkan fleet retreated from Earth orbit, humanity faced a new dawn. They had been tested in the crucible of interstellar war and emerged victorious. But with that victory came great responsibility. The captured Supreme Commander Vexthal would prove to be a valuable source of information, not just about Zarkan technology, but about the wider galaxy that humanity was now poised to enter. As the cheers of victory echoed across the Earth and throughout the fleet, President Chen prepared to address not just her fellow humans, but the entire galaxy. Humanity had proven itself a force to be reckoned with, and the stars themselves now seemed within reach. The war was over, but humanity's journey was just beginning. The final confrontation had shaped them into something new, a spacefaring civilization ready to take its place among the stars. And the galaxy would never be the same again. A new era, humanity's ascension. The weeks following humanity's victory over the Zarkan were a whirlwind of activity and emotion. As the dust settled and the full impact of their triumph began to sink in, Earth found itself at a crossroads unlike any in its history. In the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in New York, now a symbol of human resilience and unity, President Amelia Chen addressed a global audience. Her words were broadcast not just to every corner of Earth, but to the stars themselves, a declaration to the galaxy at large. People of Earth, citizens of humanity, she began, her voice steady and resolute. We stand today at the dawn of a new era. We have faced extinction and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. The stars, once so distant, are now within our reach. But with this great power comes great responsibility. As Chen spoke, teams of scientists and engineers around the world were already hard at work, integrating Zarkan technology with human innovation. The captured Supreme Commander Vexthal, now severed from the hive mind and facing the alien concept of individual thought, had become an invaluable source of information. Dr. Elena Rodriguez led the research efforts, her eyes alight with excitement as each new discovery opened up possibilities that would have seemed like science fiction just years before. We're not just adopting their technology, she explained to a panel of world leaders. We're improving it, adapting it to work with human physiology and thought patterns. The potential is, well, it's literally universal. One of the most significant breakthroughs came in the field of faster-than-light communication. By reverse engineering the Zarkan quantum entanglement devices, humanity developed the ability to communicate instantaneously across vast distances. This technology would prove crucial in the years to come, as Earth began to establish its first extrasolar colonies. The first of these colonies was founded on a planet orbiting Proxima Centauri, aptly named New Horizon. Captain Akira Tanaka, the hero of the Zarkan War, led the expedition. As he stepped onto the alien soil, his words echoed those of Neil Armstrong centuries before. This is one small step for a human, but a giant leap for humankind. But humanity's expansion into the stars was not without its challenges. The defeat of the Zarkan had sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Other spacefaring races, previously content to ignore the primitive humans, now regarded Earth with a mixture of fear and respect. Admiral Yuki Tanaka, promoted to the newly created position of Supreme Commander of Earth's Interstellar Defense Force, found herself navigating not just the physical dangers of space, but the treacherous waters of galactic politics. We're the new kids on the block, she remarked during a high-level briefing. And we've just taken down the biggest bully in the schoolyard. Every other species out there is reassessing their position, trying to figure out where we fit in the grand scheme of things. It was in this complex political landscape that humanity's true strengths began to shine. The same adaptability and innovative spirit that had allowed them to defeat the Zarkan now served them well in diplomatic arenas. Earth's ambassadors, drawing on the rich tapestry of human cultures and histories, proved adept at finding common ground with a diverse array of alien species. One of the most significant developments came when a delegation from Earth made first contact with the Galactic Confederation, a loose alliance of spacefaring civilizations. The humans' arrival caused quite a stir, particularly when they presented evidence of the Zarkan's numerous violations of Confederation law. "We do not come seeking retribution," Earth's chief diplomat, Dr. Zara Khan, addressed the Confederation Assembly. "We come seeking justice, not just for humanity, but for all the species who have suffered under Zarkan aggression, and we come offering friendship and the hope of a more secure galaxy for all." Her words and the actions that backed them up resonated with many in the Confederation. Earth was granted provisional membership, a move that would have been unthinkable just a few years earlier. As humanity's influence grew, so too did its responsibilities. The knowledge and technology gained from the Zarkan were put to use not just for Earth's benefit, but for the good of the galaxy as a whole. Human scientists worked alongside alien counterparts to solve problems ranging from resource scarcity to environmental degradation on a galactic scale. Perhaps the most profound change, however, came in humanity's perception of itself. The existential threat posed by the Zarkan had united Earth in a way nothing else could have. Old rivalries and conflicts seemed petty in the face of the vast, often dangerous universe that now lay open before them. This new sense of unity and purpose manifested in the formation of the Terran Alliance, a governing body that represented all of humanity in galactic affairs. The alliance was founded on principles of democracy, scientific progress, and mutual defense, enshrining the lessons learned during the Zarkan War. 5 years after the defeat of the Zarkan, humanity celebrated the launch of its first entirely human-designed and built starship, the TAS Unity. As the ship prepared to embark on its maiden voyage of exploration, President Chen, now in her second term and as popular as ever, gave a speech that captured the spirit of this new age. The Unity represents the very best of what humanity can achieve when we work together. It carries with it not just the hopes and dreams of Earth, but the indomitable spirit that saw us through our darkest hour. As we venture forth into the unknown, we do so not as conquerors, but as explorers and peacekeepers. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders, and humanity is ready to take its place among the stars. As the Unity disappeared into the swirling vortex of a jumpgate, bound for unexplored regions of the galaxy, the cheers of billions of humans echoed across Earth and its colonies. The future was uncertain, filled with both promise and peril. But humanity faced that future unafraid, confident in the knowledge that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The Zarkan had sought to extinguish the human race, seeing them as nothing more than primitive prey. Instead, they had sparked a fire that now burned bright across the cosmos. Humanity had not just survived, they had transcended, emerging from the crucible of interstellar war as a force for progress and justice in the galaxy. As the Unity ventured into the unknown, it carried with it a simple message, broadcast on all frequencies in every known language of the galaxy. We are humanity. We come in peace, seeking new friends and new wonders. Our history is one of struggle and triumph, of falling and rising again. We have faced extinction and emerged stronger. We offer our friendship freely, but make no mistake, we will defend ourselves and our allies with all the ferocity and ingenuity that saw us defeat the Zarkan. You will find in us loyal friends or formidable enemies. The choice is yours. We await your response. And so, a new chapter in the story of humanity began. The stars, once thought to be forever out of reach, now twinkled with the light of human colonies and ships. The galaxy watched and waited, wondering what this young, energetic, and surprisingly powerful race would do next. One thing was certain, the age of humanity had begun, and the universe would never be the same again.